Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today it's my pleasure to review another special report from Globe Law and Business. And this one's very much about the business of business in the legal profession, the legal world. The title of the book, it's a little hardback special report book, is Legal Tech and Digital Transformation. In other words, and the subtitle, Competitive Positioning and Business Models of Law Firms, been written by three people: Robert van Beemen, Rupprecht Graf von Pfeil, and Gerard Tanjo. Now, the book comes to us, as I say, from Globe, and it's linked with Venturis Consulting Group, and it's part of their law firm management strategy series, which they're developing at the moment, and we reviewed other books in the series. Now, I've given a title for this review: How to Engage Effectively with Contemporary Legal Tech and Digitalisation. Now, that's really what the book is about, and the reason I wanted to review it is because one of the things about this report is it gives you some very useful tips, I think, about the future for your growing your business and how you're going to maintain competitivity, or competitivity, in other words, how you compete post-Brexit and in a world changing very rapidly, with substantial emphasis now on artificial intelligence and really using computer systems in a different way from what certainly people of my generation actually discovered and used from the 1970s onwards. Let's look at the book first of all. Here it is. It's a little hardback. It's not a very big book. It runs to 60 pages, 64 pages, 64? Yes, 64 pages. There's the front, no spine. There's something on the back. Quite a lot of detail. I borrowed a little bit of it for the review. Just opening it in a minute, you've got some nice charts. Always useful to have some little charts showing the impact of technology, for instance, there. The front of the book, there's no index as such. You've got some blurb on the back about other books, and you've got the information about the authors here, right at the back, instead of the front. You've also got footnotes, of course, right at the back of the report. At the front of the report, this is the front page, and it's got a standard introduction and then a series of chapters looking at strategies effectively. I don't want to give too much away because I think you should get the book. It's not an expensive book at all. There's the introduction, which I thought was very, very useful, and I will point out, apart from what's in the middle of it, I would point out the summary at the back, because I found a summary at the back which is if I can find it. The summary, here we go. It's on page 51. There's the summary there. I found the summary very helpful because that basically drew together the fundamental propositions that are being put forward by the authors. So what do they say then? Well, as I say, Global Law excel with their blend of special reports, which offer practical frameworks for business and law. And this new publication, which is a collaboration with Venturis, offers all involved in legal matters, whether as practitioners, advisors or legal support staff, an insight into where law firms might be going in the future. And it assesses the new industrial revolution, which is advancing computer technology, they call it tech, at an astonishing rate of developments, and of course the use of digital systems for the legal profession as new methods of conducting legal business emerge. Now, we are talking here about the profession in its widest sense. I'm not talking about the bench or the bar for that matter, but I'm talking really more about how legal firms are using the new technology. I say new technology, but it's actually been with us now for a long time. Now, as I say, the authors of this report are Robert van Beemen, Rupprecht Graf von Pfeil, and Gerard Tanjo. They bring their specialist expertise here to cover a series of topics depending on what you're looking for, including basic questions which need to be answered. And of course, for instance, what impact do technology, legal tech generally, and technology-based legal services have on the formulation of strategy in traditional law firms? Because we all know there's been generally a fairly substantial opposition to change, because we are basically rather conservative with a small c. Not with a big C, obviously, but with a small c. And of course, we're not going to give spoilers because you should read the report. But other issues explored include these matters such as whether legal tech affects the competitive positioning of law firms. And I think the answer is very much that they will do. They do now, and they will do in 2019 onwards. And I'm recording this at the beginning of 2019. You see, legal tech and client service delivery are also reviewed very well here, and the author posed these questions, and depending on what you're looking for: will the distinctive value proposition of law firms change? How does law tech impact the traditional business models of law firms? And how do national and international law firms implement technology in their business model? Those are just some questions, and there are other ones, for instance, such as what are best practices and what can we learn? In fact, therefore, what you get here is a short but detailed tour around the biggest problems facing our profession today. And these are basically, in my view, what you would describe as IT problems in its broadest sense, because obviously there are quite a large number. And the report begins by providing insights into the impact of legal tech and digitalisation. I call it that rather than digitisation. It is actually digitalisation, on strategy formulation and on how the digital revolution is affecting the traditional models of law firms. And of course the authors then go on to conclude at the back, that's in the summary area, with a commentary on the perspectives law firms should consider with regard to legal tech companies for the future. So if you're busy reading the summary, if you're busy, what I suggest you do is read the summary at the end of the work, the report, which looks ahead for the next 10 years. It's always a risky business for the law to do that, but I think this is quite useful because although we don't really know what's going to happen, we've got some ideas, and I think that helps. And of course I do know that within different substantive law areas we do look very much at a sort of longer term plan, certainly in things like family law and to a certain extent the civil jurisdiction. I'm not going to talk about criminal law at all. Now the big question which remains is whether the profession will see mergers between law firms and such new entrants and legal tech companies. Good question, that one, because although there's a protectionist element always present to preserve the professionalism of the law, the answer is clearly a possible yes. And then of course we consider the role of the big four lenders and how they will embed legal tech in their services, and in which areas they may try to compete in the future. Again, these questions are a little bit vague, but you can see that they need to be asked. The difficulty all legal businesses face at present is the uncertainty for the future in the next decade, and obviously with the continuation of digitalisation and expanding technologies, there is this march of artificial intelligence continuing, and it's not going to abate, so we have to take best advantage of it. And your worries, in our view, are well answered here, as the report is both positive and sound on what the future might look. Let me just conclude by saying that we think you need this short paperback for your firm for the suggestions the authors offer on future competitive positioning and what is currently on offer for business models of law firms in a post-Brexit world are obviously still under review. And thank you then, Globe and Venturis, for taking this project on, and we look forward to many more reports as business models develop clearly along these newer grounds in the 2020s. The paperback report, this one, was published on the 20th of September 2018, and there it is again, and then the back. You can see it's very simple. It's not a difficult report to read, but when I read it, it gave me some really interesting ideas. You can see the middle of the report there. This is digitalisation and law firms' responses. And what I did like at the beginning was they do mention some forms. They mention Clifford Chance at the beginning, Slaughters and Reed Smith. And they basically are trying to give you a perspective. And I think it works. So thank you very much to all concerned and to Sean O'Neill at Globe for commissioning this. I think it's a first-class report and one you should have in your practice. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.